recording this session. Perfect, there we go. So welcome everyone to session number 12 in our Community Tech Talk series for the U.S. Air Force and Space Force. My name is Venkat Iyer, and with me today I have my colleague Chris Hamrick, who will be helping lead the demo for leveraging enterprise resilience and business continuity applications within ServiceNow. A couple of quick housekeeping items. You'll notice that for this webinar, that everyone is muted. Sorry, I'm just getting a lot of notifications here. Perfect, okay. So you'll notice that everyone is muted as attendees of the webinar. If you have any questions that you'd like answered as we go through the demonstration, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and we'll get to them. We have a team of moderators and panelists who will be reviewing your questions, sending you answers, doing some follow-up after the call as well. And if there's any questions that seem like they're being repeated or of high interest, we'll try and get them answered during the demo itself, and we'll try and do that live. If you would also like to put in any information in the chat, we'll be monitoring that as well. Our agenda for today is to first do a little bit of a level set, go through what ServiceNow is as a platform, and then go into the actual demo of business continuity management within ServiceNow. That should take about 40 minutes, and we're going to definitely leave time towards the end for question and answer and see if we can give you some time back at the very end. I should also mention that if I go to the previous slide, which I did skip over, we have a safe harbor notice. So there could be some forward-looking statements. There are some elements of the business continuity management application that could be forward-looking statements or things that are not yet released, and this is just protections around that. So this is the safe harbor slide. And we'll go ahead and jump into what ServiceNow actually is. So a little bit of level set on the ServiceNow platform. ServiceNow is a cloud-based workflow automation platform that enables you to digitize previously manual processes, things that were tracked with either phone calls, emails, or walk-up experiences, and enable you to digitize those processes so that you gain greater visibility into where exactly work is in the organization. And it also breaks down silos between different systems, between different teams in your organization, so you're sharing the data that helps enable your teams to get the right information to get their jobs done. ServiceNow as a platform contains a lot of core capabilities, and two that I'd like to highlight today are first the workflow automation capability. ServiceNow has its own workflow engine that enables you to do that digitization of workflows, and a configuration management database that enables you to use a system of relevance to store information about your users, groups, the business services they support, the applications that they use, and any end users or customers that are being supported, so that you have a system of relevance to actually tie back your dependencies for all these services to more quickly provide end user services, to more quickly track down or to gain better visibility into the underlying services and applications that are supporting your business. ServiceNow provides all these well-organized core capabilities on one platform, one data model that's on a single architecture called the Now platform. That's the foundation for all of our workflows, and it's a foundation for the great experiences that we provide for not only our customers and end users, but also for our frontline workers and agents who are actually doing the work of moving tasks forward in the organization, as well as for management, who is overseeing the quality of services and ensuring that a high quality of service is being provided for customers and end users. All of these capabilities all these capabilities are used within our applications that are built on top of the platform. ServiceNow has over 50 applications built using these core capabilities. And when we have conversations about these applications, they're usually around three main workflows. The first is your IT workflows. A lot of this can be service desk management, operations management, around how you respond to requests, how you respond to incidents, how you maintain your IT services within an organization. So these are basically digitized workflows that are tracking the movement of work through these organizations. We also have conversations around employee workflows, which is, if you think a little bit more about onboarding and offboarding of employees, changes that they encounter in their life. If they have requests related to payroll, there's a lot of manual processes that traverse a lot of different silos in the organization that you can end up tracking and digitizing using ServiceNow's workflow engine. We also have conversations around customer workflows. At ServiceNow, we understand that not every request that you get and not every incident that comes in is going to be related to IT. Some of these are going to be related to external customer requests that we can manage using a case management system. So that's really what customer workflows does. It helps you manage that external case management and enables you to maintain a high level service for your customers. All of these applications have workflows and data models that come out of the box and are able to be used and configure, and anything that you see in any one of these applications is completely configurable. Sometimes we have truly, customers who think way outside the box, and maybe some of these workflows don't exactly match up with what they're looking for. We also have a ServiceNow app engine, which enables our customers to use no-code or low-code development to create their own pretty powerful applications using just drag and drop features, forms-based functionality, so you don't need a full-fledged development team or technical resources in order to be able to deliver some really powerful workflow applications. So where does ServiceNow fit in with the rest of your organization? We deliver great experiences through multiple different channels, be they mobile, web, or conversational interfaces to your employees and customers. And we understand that ServiceNow is also not going to be your only system of record. You have multiple other applications, platforms, maybe legacy applications that you're using that host valuable information that you want to be able to leverage through these workflows. ServiceNow is really serving as that connective tissue, enabling you to integrate and communicate across that infrastructure. So you're no longer dealing with multiple separate applications. You have this connective tissue that's bringing the valuable information, exposing it through the workflows that you need through multiple different conversational channels with your employees and customers. So that's a quick overview of the ServiceNow platform. I'm going to pause now, and I realized I didn't give my colleague Chris Hamrick a chance to introduce himself. So I'll pause for questions, and I'll also use this opportunity to transition over to Chris and go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Perfect. Thank you for that introduction. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Hamrick. I'm a solution consultant here at ServiceNow. So I specialize primarily in the integrated risk management solution, which is what business continuity and disaster recovery is part of. And Venkat, would you like me to take over the screen share at this point?
Sure, absolutely. I'll stop screen sharing right now.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
So I have just a couple of slides, and then we will jump straight into the demo. But just to kind of add some additional context to what Venkat already kind of walked us through around the platform, and really focus around how we're going to be able to leverage the platform for business continuity management and overall operational resiliency. So I'll skip over this slide, but I do like to point out that, within the Now platform and all of the capabilities that we just discussed, we are able to leverage that common services data model, analytics, integrated workflows to really connect the enterprise and embed business continuity as part of that as well. So we're obviously here today to talk about business continuity. So what are we hearing from our customers today is that they're experiencing rapid digital transformation. Companies are having to become digital companies overnight because of events going on right now like COVID-19. And this is increasing our digital risk as well as our risk of breaches, major incidents. We're seeing that cost of compliance is increasing. And that's really an ongoing challenge that a lot of our customers are faced with today. We're seeing greater resilience on third and fourth parties, and that's creating exposure to a number of supply chain risks. And all of these issues in any of these areas are really can impact your reputation with customers, with stakeholders across the organization. So how is ServiceNow going to help? So again, this kind of goes back to the introduction slide, leveraging all of those key components. So you'll see the kind of the common areas of risk across the top here. And this is directly going to result and improving our business decisions, reducing our inefficiencies, breaking down those silos, improving executive management, dashboard capabilities, and really building a service aware and resilient organization. So the last slide is really focused around what we're going to look at today. So here's what the ServiceNow business continuity management application encompasses. So today during the demo, you'll see me go through different BCM dashboards. So that's going to include reporting that allows our end users as well as management to monitor and analyze risk and data. We're going to look at our assessments. So when we talk about risk and assessments within business continuity, our focus is primarily around the business impact analysis. Then we'll talk about how that flows into our business continuity and disaster recovery planning. And then we'll show how that moves into our recovery and exercise management. So these are really the four pillars that we're focused on today as part of the demonstration. So I will now transition to the live demo. So I will bring up my screen here. All right, so let's start from one of our business continuity management dashboards. And I'm really excited to show this to you all today because this really is the latest and greatest, not only from a business continuity management perspective within ServiceNow, but also leveraging the latest and greatest ServiceNow technology, which is that idea around workspaces, which are really going to allow our different users to be able to work more effectively, more efficiently, while maintaining a high level of user experience. So we really want any user to be able to access this workspace, be able to quickly see what they're assigned to, and then access those records and complete the activities that they need to complete. So what you're looking at here is what we refer to as our landing page. So this is really the main entry point for our business continuity or our risk or DR managers, as well as those individuals within the organization that are being assigned to contribute to different areas of our program, such as completing a business impact analysis, approving and reviewing various types of plans. So you'll notice here in the top half of the screen, this is an example of what our end users would see when they log into their workspace. They can quickly see what business impact analysis they're assigned to and what's the status of that. They can also see the same for their continuity plans as well as exercises that they're involved in. Over here on the right-hand side, we have some links with the common actions that those users may need to take, such as creating a new plan, starting a business impact analysis, or activating a plan at time of event. You'll also notice that we may display key assets for that user. So when we talk about critical assets as it pertains to business continuity or even continuity of operations, we think about business processes or essential functions or critical applications that support those. So we'll quickly display those key records here in the dashboard as well. Now, as I scroll down, you're now going to see what your business continuity managers are going to see when they access their workspace. So they have a much wider view across the organization. They want to know, out of the critical business processes or essential functions, what's been assessed, where have we done business impact analysis, what's currently in progress, do we have anything overdue, what actions are pending. I may need to review or approve BIAs. And then we have some reporting here as well that shows me my assessment results broken out by business unit. And for those of you not as familiar with ServiceNow, the really nice feature here is that we can actually drill into any of these reports, take a deeper dive into the data. So let's go ahead and start by looking at an example of a business impact analysis. So I may want to see what's currently in a draft state. So I can see that I have 2 BIAs currently in a draft state. I can see the description, the name of the BIA, when it was last updated, and what business process we're assessing. So let's go ahead and look at our customer support BIA here. So this is the experience for all the users who have access to this BIA. And there's a lot of really nice features here. The first feature that I like to point out is the reporting and the overview within the BIA. So we have dashboards and reporting capabilities across the platform, but having this overview that quickly tells you the results, the status, the due date, is really beneficial, especially for those users that may be logging into their workspace, reviewing or approving. They don't have to drill into every section of the BIA to see that overall result here. So I can see at this point, what's my impact assessment result? So I can see a recovery tier or a recovery time objective. I can see out of my impact assessment categories, what's been completed, what's still pending, and then same for my dependency assessment progress. What has been mapped as a dependency and what's still pending. And then I can see my due date. So this is going to actually be driven off of those process SLAs. As I scroll down, you could see additional details such as the name of the BIA, what template was used, and again, what process we're assessing. And I could quickly go in and I could assign additional contributors, or I could add an attachment as well. So now we'll take a look at the impact assessment. So what I'm going to do is actually minimize my overview here, and we're going to look at our impact assessment. So what you're seeing here is based on industry best practices. So we do align closely with ISO 22301, as well as NIST standards and other federal directives. So you'll notice in this particular impact assessment, we're really focused on 5 key categories, ranging from workforce impacts to revenue impacts, legal impacts, regulatory, and reputation impacts. So the system does provide templates with these categories and assessments ready to go. But based on your organization, even based on your department or your business unit, you would be able to expand this and add to this assessment. So I can quickly see what's been completed and what's still pending. So I can go into my list and take a look at revenue. And I can see the level of impact ranging from low to high. What's the description of that? And then I can go in and I can identify that disruption duration. So this is telling me that we have a low level of impact when it comes to revenue within the first 4 hours, but that gradually increases as time moves on. So now I can go and take a look at my reputation impact, for example. So I could do the same thing here. So I can look and see at this point, we're looking at customer support. So low impact, we may be okay within the first 4 hours or even the first 8 hours, we may have a low impact. So I can actually define that here. And then I can go in and I can say, well, over time, we know that within 24 hours, the impact starts to get more moderate. So I can actually populate that. And then high, I may say at 48 hours, it becomes a high impact because this is customer support and this could have an impact to our brand and our reputation here. So once I've completed this, I can mark it as completed and then it's saved in the system. Now, if I go back and I look at my overview, this may or may not at this point have updated my impact results here. The third key area within the BIA is understanding our dependencies. So the dependencies are really showing what applications, what infrastructure items, what services or vendors this process depends upon. So dependencies can be added by the users assigned to the BIA, and they're able to go into any one of these dependency types, for example, workplace, and search for and assign a particular record here. So we can go in and say customer support depends on Santa Clara headquarters. We could also go and search for additional locations that this process may depend upon, and then add that to our list of dependencies here. Once I'm done, just like the impact questions, I can save my changes. So the user would go through and they would identify, what applications, what critical vendors, what hardware, what workplaces, software this process depends upon. Now, one key advantage of doing this on ServiceNow is leveraging that common services data model. So when we look at our list of vendors or we look at our list of applications here, we're looking at the same data set that's being leveraged across the entire platform. So the same data that's being used for those IT workflows, those other business workflows that Venkat mentioned at the beginning here. So we're looking at the same data, we're making assessments on that data, and then this information may be leveraged by other teams as well. So there's a lot of benefit into leveraging that common services data model here. So once the BIA has been completed, you can submit it for review, and then that will go through that approval process, allowing for department heads and business continuity leads to have kind of the final say and approval on that particular BIA record here. So that's kind of the first step in the process, is really understanding our critical business processes, understanding the risk and the impact, and then ultimately identifying our control and our recovery time objectives, which will then be used and leveraged to then build out our different types of resiliency plans. So we'll take that information along with our dependency assessments to then build out recovery strategies for key scenarios as part of our planning process. So I'm going to navigate back to my homepage here, and I'm going to scroll down and we'll take a look at our business continuity dashboard here. So the business continuity overview dashboard, similar to the BIA. I can quickly see the number of plans broken out by department. I can see plan status. So what departments need a plan? What plans are currently in progress? Where do we have plans? And maybe we even have some plans that have been expired. And then I can see my quick list of actions. So what's pending my review? What's pending my approval? And then we have a report here that's looking at where we have gaps between our recovery time objectives and maybe our capabilities or gaps in our recovery strategies. I will mention that these landing pages do come out of the box, but just like anywhere on the platform, this can be updated and configured. So additional landing pages, additional reports can be added as needed. So now we're going to take a look at two different types of reports. So we'll take a look at our application DR plan first, and then we'll have a look at a business continuity plan as well. So I'll go into my bomb tracker application DR plan here. And just like the BIA, you'll notice that it's going to take me to the overview page, which again is a really nice feature because it's providing live real-time reporting and updates directly within the plan. So I can quickly see the total number of documents or summary sections included in this plan. What's been completed, what's still pending. I can quickly see number of recovery teams assigned to this plan, number of recovery activities or tasks, and then I can see what dependencies by loss scenario have been identified and which ones have strategies and which ones don't. So I can see that in this particular plan, we've built out a strategy for a loss of infrastructure. But I may want to go in and build out additional strategies for these other scenarios, such as loss of a business application, complete loss of a data center, or even loss of a critical third or fourth party vendor. Then up here at the top, I can see what assets are within the scope of this plan. So depending on the plan type, we may have one or many assets within the scope of the plan. Traditionally, your application DR plans may be focused on a single application, but you could align this to focus on a data center, or you could align it to focus on a product or a suite of applications, hosted on a particular piece of infrastructure, for example. So you have flexibility in how you want to build out these plans. So the first area we're going to look at is the details. So the details section is where we're going to capture all of that general information, all that pertinent information for the plan. Type of plan, what template was used for the plan, and then any general information. How does it roll up within the organization? Who has ultimate responsibility for the plan and ownership? Who's the BCM lead? And then who are our list of contributors? So I can go in and actually search my list of users. So this is pulling in data from an HR management system or Active Directory, and I can add as many contributors as it makes sense to this plan. That would then give them access to come into the plan, view the details, make any specific edits here. The next section we're going to look at is our plan assets. So we know that from our overview page that the asset covered in this plan is the application bomb tracker. So let's say as part of the plan, we want it to drill in and get additional details and information pertaining to this particular asset. So I can open up this, and it's going to open up another tab within the plan. And what I'm looking at here is really all of the pertinent information and detail for this application. So this is really where you're going to start to see some major advantages of doing BCM and DR on the platform. Because one, all of this information is updating in real time. So we're automating what a lot of our customers are doing today as a manual process. So you'll notice up here, I've got my key reports and widgets. So I can actually see the health of this particular application. So I can see whether or not we have any critical incidents open for this application. I can see whether or not I have any change tickets associated to this application. And then I can continue running through this to see if there are any compliance or scores within my CMDB for this particular application. I can also open up a dashboard. So I can view that information within a dashboard view, which is really nice feature for our users to be able to go from the plan to open up this dashboard view to see things like relationships, and then again, change tickets, incidents, tasks that are related to that particular application. I can also view my dependencies and relationships. So I can open that up as well. And that's going to take me to my end-to-end dependency view for that application. So I can quickly see the upstream business processes and capabilities that have dependency on this application. And then downstream from the application, I can see the services that consume that application or consumed by. Then downstream from here, I can see the hosted infrastructure. So I can see that this runs on this particular server. And then I can actually see the DR relationship as well. So this is a very powerful dependency map that is going to be updated in real time automatically using other areas on the platform, such as discovery, as well as service mapping. So what that all means is that, DR and business continuity, they need to consume that type of information. They need to know those dependencies. They need to know the status of the application or process. They need to know if there are critical incidents or major incidents open. But we are not the keeper of this information. So that's really leveraging the power of the platform to drive that data and that information. And then same as all the information that you see down here for this particular application. This is coming directly from our configuration management database and visible to our BC and our DR colleagues. So the next section of the plan I'll walk you guys through is the documentation. So this is where you can capture any kind of summary type of information. So this is where you might outline things like the scope and objectives of the plan, key assumptions, any maintenance or exercise requirements. The nice thing about this is that we leverage templates. So based on the plan type, based on the plan template, we actually will pre-populate this information, and then the user can go in and they can simply edit this and really customize it for the particular plan they're working on without it impacting any other plan as well. And you could certainly go in and you can add new sections as well. So if I did want to add in any kind of testing requirements and document that as part of my plan, I could simply add that section, and that will show up here as well. And then I can go in and identify those testing requirements here. So I could say plan needs to be tested annually. So that's our documentation summarizing key components of the plan or key components of our disaster recovery or business continuity program. The next section we'll look at is the recovery teams. So this is where we would document the key recovery teams associated to this plan. So within a particular recovery team, we can identify the description. We can actually leverage and assign groups that have already been defined within the organization. And then we can also add or remove users to this team as well. This tells us that in the event of an exercise or a real disruption, this recovery team would be notified and play some part in the recovery and execution of this plan. So the next section is focused on those loss scenarios. So this really is the key section, I'll say, within the plan. So this is where we're going to leverage information from our BIAs, information from our dependencies to identify specific loss scenarios. And again, this is based on industry best practices, what DR plans and business continuity plans should prepare for. Things like loss of business applications, loss of a data center, loss of infrastructure. Within a BC plan, you may see loss of a workplace or loss of key personnel and resources. So within any of these scenarios, we can drill into that scenario and we can actually see what are the related asset dependencies. So we know that that application and the corresponding service had dependencies on these infrastructure items. So we know that there's related asset dependencies and we need to build out a recovery strategy. So you'll see here in the top here that we actually have coverage for both of those related assets. So I can go in and I can view the recovery strategy. And a recovery strategy could be something like invoke, the DR plan. Or it could actually be a more detailed step. For example, failing over one server to another. It could be relocating activities or initiating a work from home strategy, things like that. So I can build out my strategies specific to that scenario, and then I can identify which dependencies are covered within the strategy. Then I can take it a little further, identify the time it might take to implement this strategy, and then the maximum duration of use. So this is simply identifying how long could we leverage this strategy for. So when we look at the BC plan, we may have a work from home strategy, and we may be able to send key resources home, and they can work from home for up to 2 months. And then we can identify, if applicable, the estimated % of operations achieved, because we may see degradation in operations at time of event if we do have to activate one of these particular recovery strategies. And then the last thing that the plan is going to focus on is the plan activities or recovery tasks. So you can see here, these are where you might find the detailed steps that you would need to activate if you were to exercise this plan or activate this plan. And you can go through the process to assign an ownership, identify a specific configuration item, and then assign it to a group or an individual. So if I drill into this, I can actually open up in a pop-up the actual task, and I can see any additional information as well. So that's an example of a disaster recovery plan. So now I'm going to show you an example of a business continuity plan. So we'll take a look at our human resources business continuity plan. So just like the DR plan, we have a very similar look and feel. Couple things I'll call out is obviously within this business continuity plan, we're focused on an entire department. So we're looking at our human resources department. So within the scope of this plan, we may have multiple assets within the scope. So we may have a number of key business processes, a number of key essential functions within the scope of this plan. So I can see here, we have 4 critical applications. I can see the recovery time objectives and what's achievable. Same as the DR plan, I can drill into any of these processes to see additional information. I can see the health of this process. I can see all of the details pertaining to the process, such as who's the owner, what's the cost of this process, what's the business criticality that's been determined, etc. I can also open up the dependency view. So now I'm looking at a similar dependency map, but looking at it from the lens of this particular business process. So I can actually see that this process has dependency on this particular business application. And then I can see downstream from the business application, as well as expand this to load more dependencies as well. So I can actually see the end-to-end process dependency view starting with accounts receivable here at the top. And the really powerful thing here that ServiceNow brings that other BCM point solutions aren't necessarily doing is 1, the automation of this through discovery, and 2, the detailed type of relationship. So as I mouse over these different connections, you can actually see the type of relationship. So we looked at this previously, but I know that these 2 servers, the relationship is DR relationship between those servers here. So going back to my plan, I won't go through each section again because it's very similar. Obviously, the content's going to be changed and it's going to be reflective towards a business continuity plan. But let's take a look at our scenarios real quick, because you'll notice we have some different scenarios here, such as loss of personnel, loss of workplace. I could easily add additional scenarios from my database here. So I could plan for a loss of infrastructure if I wanted to. And then I can drill in. So I might look at loss of a workplace. So we know from our BIA and from our dependency map that those human resource processes have dependency on our Santa Clara headquarters. So we need to build out a strategy if this asset dependency were impacted. So I can look at the particular strategies here. And in this case, I have a couple of strategies that I could activate. Could be activity relocation, or it could be a work from home, or it could be relocate to an alternate site. So you have options. You can build out additional types of strategies. I could look at this particular strategy, activity relocation. I can see the description, what's being covered here, and then I might want to add some comments here. So I might want to kick off some sort of activity to initiate a communication between the teams at the primary and alternate locations to hand over any key activities.
Chris, we have one quick question coming in from the
Absolutely.
chat. Yeah. So the question is, what module or tool is needed to use the dependency function that you showed? I think this is related to the dependency view graph that you were displaying with the upstream and downstream objects.
Could you repeat that one more time? The first part of the question?
Sure, yeah. Which module or tool is needed in order to use that dependency function?
Great question. So the dependencies that we are leveraging in that dependency map view is the same view that you would see for that asset within the configuration management database. So that's the module. We're not maintaining separate dependency maps. Now, with that being said, during the BIA process, the business may determine that they've identified additional applications that may not be mapped as dependencies within our configuration management database. If that was the case, we could kick off an automated workflow that opens up a change request to then update that CMDB dependency view. But the benefit there, again, is leveraging the common services data model, leveraging the same dependency views that are being leveraged by other tenants on the platform, other work streams on the platform.
Hey Chris, this is Gain Nazareth from ServiceNow. So if I understand correctly, those dependency views are a part of the CMDB, which is a platform feature, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, cool. So no matter what product you have access to those dependency views.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so that is an example of a business continuity plan. Again, the main driving difference is obviously what assets are being covered within this plan. What are the different types of scenarios and strategies we're planning for? And then what are the different planning activities that we're building out in the event we have to activate this plan? So once you've gone through your analysis and your assessment, and you've identified and you're starting to prioritize your essential functions and your key business processes based on risk and based on recovery time objectives, and you've built out your plans, the next key step is to exercise those plans. And that's an important piece within any business continuity management program. How do you know if your strategies and your tasks are going to work? How are we going to identify and remediate any issues without testing? So within the business continuity application, we provide the ability to exercise your plans as well as activate those plans. And in some cases, we also can integrate and work across other work streams like incident management and major incident management and change management as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of my exercises that's currently in progress. So this is an example of one type of exercise. So we're doing our finance department's annual exercise. So you'll notice it really kind of breaks down into three key components. The first is going to be our details. This is where we can define what type of event it is. We can assign it to individuals. We can add description and things like that. Then as I scroll down, we can start to build out our exercise, starting with our planning and our scheduling. So we can identify the date and time for our exercise. Do we need someone to approve our plan? So this could be approving our exercise scope and objectives before we actually execute the exercise, and then identifying whether or not we need someone to approve our exercise results. And then we can go in and we can assign key participants to the exercise as well. As I scroll further down, I'm just going to minimize this. To make it full screen. So as I scroll down, now you'll see this is where I can document my scope of the exercise. So I may want to identify the method for which we're going to complete the exercise or execute the exercise. So this could be a simulation, could be a tabletop, could be a walkthrough, or in some cases, we may be doing a fully functional exercise here. The nice thing here is that you would be able to configure additional types of exercise methods to meet any additional specific requirements. So we may say we're doing a tabletop exercise here. Then I can go in and I can actually specify a particular scenario that I may be testing. So these scenarios are looking at those same scenarios that we're planning for within our plan. So the finance department, we may want to do a tabletop exercise to simulate what we would do in the event we had to relocate offices or relocate resources and activity. So I can specify the type of scenario. I may have multiple scenarios. We may want to plan for loss of personnel as well. As I scroll further down, I can capture things like my goals, my objectives, and I can add to this if I wanted to do so. Once I've completed my exercise, I could then go in and capture my results. So when did we actually start and end the exercise? What was the result? And then I can track things like improvements, summaries. In some cases, I may want to build out after action remediation tasks to mitigate any of the items that were uncovered as part of the exercise. The second key thing is what plans we're going to activate. So you'll notice in this particular exercise, we've activated our finance department continuity plan. But I may want to activate multiple plans. So I could go in and I could search for and assign additional plans as needed. Based on the plans that I've brought in, it will actually populate with the tasks that need to be executed as part of this exercise. So this is a really nice feature. You know, in my previous roles as a practitioner, not using a digital solution, you know, we used to maintain an exercise scope document in Word. Then for our exercise itself, we would have to take the task from the plan and we would put it in a spreadsheet. So that way we could manage it during the actual exercise and capture any notes. And then we would maintain a second Word document for our results. So what we're allowing you to do is essentially capture all of that exercise information that your BC and DR teams are going to need, as well as what your audit is looking for within a single record within the BCM application. And these results can be kept in the solution as well as referenced back within the plan. And those results can also drive key metrics such as identifying whether or not we met certain SLAs, as well as what our actual recovery time capabilities are compared to what our objectives are that were defined within our business impact analysis. So that is an example of the exercise here. So going back to my homepage, that's really what I wanted to walk you all through today. Kind of that end-to-end process from overview, navigation, to assessment and analysis, to plan building, and then finally exercising. So thank you all for your time, and we'll leave the last 8 or 9 minutes for any remaining questions.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much for the demonstration. That was really informative and very detailed. We don't have any live questions right now. I do want to leave the line open for a little bit longer for anyone who wants to put in a question in Q&A, but I did have one question. You showed us a lot of different things like loss scenarios. I was curious how many of those really come out of the box with ServiceNow, any of these the scenarios that you've mentioned in either the exercises or the BCM tracker itself? And is there any way to do to create like templates for your organization for different kinds of scenarios?
Yeah, great question. So out of the box, we provide roughly around, I want to say 5 or 6 types of recovery scenarios. And again, those are based on industry best practices, such as ISO 22301. What type of recovery strategies should business continuity plan focus on? But with that being said, you would be able to build out additional types of scenarios that you may want to plan for, such as a pandemic scenario, which is obviously a hot topic right now. So you could build out, that pandemic scenario. You could build out an active shooter scenario as well. So there's no limitation, but we do provide different scenarios. And based on the scenario, we may also provide recommended strategies as well. For example, loss of a vendor, we provide a couple of strategies such as insourcing or leveraging a alternate third or fourth party vendor. When it comes to templates, we provide those templates. We also provide plan templates as well. So for example, if I wanted to create a plan here, I could actually go through the process to build out a plan. I'll just say this is Chris's new BC plan. And then I can select from a specific type of template. Now, based on the template, this is actually going to assign the standard recovery scenarios that we need to provide coverage for. So if I picked business continuity plan template and then I created my plan, you'll actually see that we've assigned 3 scenarios based on that template. So application outage, loss of workplace, and vendor disruption. But I could easily go in and assign one of my other templated scenarios, such as loss of personnel as well. And we provide the templates out of the box, but as a BCM administrator, you could easily update those templates to either add or remove additional scenarios based on the plan type.
Okay, perfect. That answers my question perfectly. And one more final follow-up question is regarding kind of reporting on BCM. So I know that we're in the workspace view right now, but because this data is shared with the underlying ServiceNow platform, everything that's being displayed here, is that also accessible through the reporting and dashboards and kind of the native ServiceNow UI?
It is absolutely. So, and that's a great call out. So this is what we refer to as the BCM workspace. So in addition to the workspace, you would also be able to leverage platform dashboarding, reporting, performance analytics in the same fashion that you leverage that for other areas on the platform as well. And I will point out that these landing pages here as well, these are made up of reports. So you can actually build additional landing pages or dashboards visible within your workspace as well. And those can be persona driven. So you may have different roles within your BCM program, and when they log in, they may see one or many different types of home pages with different types of reports and views based on that role.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chris. I think that that answers all of the questions that I had, and it answers all the questions that have come in through our Q&A as well. I know early on in the chat, we also had some questions about, the slides, if they were going to be shared with the group, and if this demo recording was going to be shared. The answer is absolutely. We're going to compile all the information for not only this session, but all the past 12 sessions altogether, and we'll send out a link to all of the attendees of the session. So thank you very much, Chris, for your time. I really appreciate you giving us the BCM demo today. And everyone who's attended, thank you for your time. Please feel free to send an email to our group or to reply to the webinar calendar invite, and we'd be happy to reach back out to you with more information and to set up maybe a conversation as follow-up. So thank you all for your time, and have a great Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.